Please wake up!
Come on, breathe.
Wake up, please!
That's it, breathe.
In a room filled with billionaires, one young girl was dying. Her breathing stopped, panic took over, even her wealthy father could do nothing but watch. Money failed, influence failed, time was running out. Then something no one expected happened. A poor waitress, silent, unnoticed, ignored, stepped out from the crowd, and in that moment, the fate of a billionaire's family changed forever. Zara hit the marble floor with a sound that did not belong in a place so perfect. Glasses shattered, chairs scraped back, laughter died in the air like a candle blown out by a sudden wind. For one terrible second, no one moved. Then someone screamed. Zara Emanuel, young, bright, and loved, lay on her side, her fingers curled tight as if she was holding on to something only she could see. Her chest jerked once, then stopped moving. Her eyes were open, but they did not focus on anyone. Zara, her father shouted. Billionaire Emmanuel pushed through his guests, his voice cracking as fear grabbed his throat. He dropped to his knees on the cold floor, his expensive jacket forgotten. He held his daughter's face in his hands, shaking. "Breathe, my child, please breathe." She did not. Phones were already in the air. Someone shouted for doctors. Another person yelled for security. The room filled with noise, orders, prayers, crying. But Zara stayed still. Time was running out, and standing near the wall, holding a tray with shaking hands, was someone no one noticed at all. Mary. Earlier that evening, Mary had arrived at the restaurant before sunset. She always did. She wore the same neat black uniform, unwashed until it had lost its shine. Her shoes were clean but old, the soles thin from years of work. She tied her hair back and took a deep breath, the way she always did before stepping into a room full of rich people who never looked at her face. To them, Mary was part of the furniture. She moved quietly between tables, serving food that cost more than her monthly rent. She smiled when spoken to and lowered her eyes when shouted at. She did her job well because mistakes were not forgiven easily in places like this. Tonight was different, though. The manager had whispered the name with pride, Emmanuel, the billionaire, one of the most powerful men in the country. He had booked the entire top floor for a private dinner. Important guests were coming, security was tight, everything had to be perfect. Mary noticed the little things others missed. She noticed how the air felt heavy, how the lights seemed brighter than usual, how the music played just a bit too loud, as if trying to hide something. She noticed Zara when she walked in. Zara laughed easily, her smile warm, her eyes curious. She did not act like someone born into endless money. She greeted staff, thanked the waiter, and even nodded at Mary as she passed. That small nod stayed with Mary. Throughout the night, the dinner went smoothly. Plates came and went, wine glasses refilled. The guests laughed, told stories, and praised Emmanuel's success. Then, without warning, Zara placed a hand on her chest. At first, no one noticed. The music was loud, the laughter was louder. Mary noticed. She saw Zara's smile fade, saw her fingers tremble, and saw the glass slip from her hand and shatter on the floor. Then Zara stood up too fast and collapsed. That was when panic took over. Back in the present moment, the restaurant was no longer beautiful. It was chaos. "Call an ambulance," someone shouted. "We need a doctor now." Two guests who claimed to be doctors rushed forward. They knelt, checked Zara's pulse, looked at each other with fear in their eyes. "This is bad," one whispered. Security formed a tight circle around them, pushing people back. Emmanuel's hands shook as he held his daughter, tears rolling down his face. "I can give anything," he said, his voice breaking. "Anything. Just save her." But money could not stop time. Zara's lips were turning pale. Mary stood frozen at first. Her heart pounded so loud she thought others could hear it. She wanted to move. She wanted to speak. But fear held her feet to the floor. Who would listen to a waitress? Her mind asked. She remembered being shouted at for speaking out of turn, remembered being told to know her place, remembered how the world treated people like her, poor, quiet, invisible. She swallowed hard, then she saw Zara's chest again, still not moving. Something inside Mary broke open. She stepped forward. "Please," she said softly. No one heard her. She took another step, her tray slipping from her hands and hitting the floor with a loud crash. That sound turned heads. "What are you doing?" a security man snapped. Mary's voice shook, but she did not stop. "Please," she said again, louder now, "I think I can help." The room went quiet for a second, just long enough for everyone to hear her. "A waitress?" The security man laughed in disbelief. "Get back," he ordered. "This is not your place." Mary looked at Zara. She saw the stillness. She saw the fear on Emmanuel's face. She remembered her grandmother's voice from long ago. Simple lessons, simple knowledge. Things learned not in big schools, but in small kitchens and quiet nights. Things everyone else ignored. I don't need money, Mary said, her voice stronger now. I just need 1 minute. Emmanuel looked up at her. Their eyes met. In that moment, he saw something he had not seen all night. Not wealth, not power, not fear, but courage. Let her try, Emmanuel said suddenly. The room exploded with protests. Are you mad? This is dangerous. Get a real doctor. Security hesitated. The doctors looked unsure. Time kept moving. Zara did not breathe. Mary dropped to her knees beside her, her hands trembling as she placed them gently where she believed they should go. She closed her eyes. And then, Zara's body jerked. A sharp gasp tore from her chest. Everyone froze. Mary's eyes flew open as Zara sucked in air like someone pulled back from deep water. The room went deadly silent. But before anyone could celebrate, Zara's breathing stopped again. Mary's hands hovered, fear flooding her face. She had only seconds left to try again, and this time, if she failed, there would be no second chance. The silence in the room was heavy enough to crush breath. Zara lay still again. That one gasp, so full of hope just seconds ago, now felt like a cruel trick. Emmanuel's heart sank. His hands shook as he reached for his daughter, but Mary raised one trembling palm. Please, she whispered, don't touch her yet. Her voice was not loud, but something in it made Emmanuel stop. Around them, anger began to rise. This is madness. She's wasting time. If the girl dies… Mary blocked out the voices. Her eyes stayed on Zara's face, pale, still, slipping away. Focus, she told herself. She remembered the night her grandmother collapsed in their small room years ago. No hospital nearby, no doctor, just panic. And then calm. Her grandmother had shown her what to do, step by step, with slow hands and steady breath. People forget simple things when fear comes, her grandmother had said, but the body remembers. Mary placed 2 fingers gently under Zara's jaw and tilted her head slightly back. She checked the mouth quickly, her movements careful, but fast. She's choking, Mary said. One of the doctors frowned. On what? Mary did not answer. She leaned closer, listening, watching. Zara's chest made a faint, broken sound, like air trying to pass through a door that would not open. Mary pressed just below Zara's chest, slow at first, then firmer. Hey, someone shouted, stop that! Security moved forward again, but Emmanuel lifted his hand. Wait. Mary pressed again. Nothing. Her heart slammed hard against her ribs. Come on, please. She adjusted her hands, remembering the pressure, the angle. She pressed again, harder this time. Zara's body jerked. A sharp cough broke the silence. Then another, and then air rushed in. Zara gasped loudly, her chest rising and falling in fast, uneven breaths. A wave of sound exploded across the room. She's breathing. Oh my God, she's alive. Mary fell back on her heels, tears filling her eyes as relief washed over her like rain after a long drought. Emmanuel cried out and pulled his daughter into his arms, his shoulders shaking as he held her. My child, he sobbed. My Zara. Zara blinked slowly, confusion in her eyes. Daddy, she whispered. Yes, my love, I'm here. The ambulance sirens wailed in the distance now, but the worst had passed. Doctors rushed back in, this time with real urgency, checking Zara again, stabilizing her, asking questions. One of them turned to Mary, disbelief clear on his face. What did you do? Mary wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She choked, she said softly. Her airway was blocked. The doctor nodded slowly. You saved her life. Those words felt unreal. You saved her life. Mary had never been told anything like that before. As Zara was lifted onto a stretcher, Emmanuel stood up. He looked around the room, his eyes sharp now, no longer broken by fear. Everyone, he said, his voice firm, this young woman saved my daughter when all of you stood and argued. The guests grew quiet, shame creeping into their faces. Emmanuel turned to Mary. What is your name? Mary swallowed. Mary, sir. Mary, he repeated as if tasting the name. From today, you are no longer invisible. Her heart skipped. Security escorted the guests out quietly as the ambulance doors closed and drove away. The restaurant felt empty now, like a storm had passed through and taken all the noise with it. Mary stood alone near the wall again, suddenly unsure what to do. Her hands still shook. Her uniform was wrinkled. Her shoes were wet with spilled wine and water. She expected to be sent away. Instead, Emmanuel walked toward her. Come, he said. Sit. Mary hesitated. Sir, I still have work. Sit, he repeated, gently but firmly. She sat. Emmanuel studied her for a long moment, not like a boss looks at staff, like a man trying to understand a miracle. You did what trained doctors could not, he said. Why? Mary looked down. Because I knew what to do. That is not an answer. She took a deep breath. Because someone once taught me. And because your daughter was dying. Emmanuel nodded slowly. You did not ask for money, he said. You did not wait for permission. You stepped forward when everyone else stepped back. He reached into his jacket and placed a card on the table. My office, he said. Tomorrow morning, come. Mary stared at the card, fear and hope fighting inside her chest. Sir, I don't understand. You will, Emmanuel replied. Trust me. Before she could say anything else, he turned and walked away. Mary sat there long after the lights dimmed, her mind spinning. She had saved a life, but she did not know that saving Zara had just placed her directly in the path of something far bigger than gratitude. The next morning, the news exploded. Billionaire's daughter saved by Waitress. Miracle at luxury restaurant. Poor girl does what doctors couldn't. Mary saw her name everywhere. People who had never looked at her face now wanted to know her story. When she arrived at Emmanuel's towering office building later that day, her legs felt weak. Everything about the place screamed power, glass walls, polished floors, quiet voices. She was led into a large office where Emmanuel sat behind a desk. But he was not alone. A tall young man stood by the window, his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. He turned when Mary entered, and the way he looked at her, curious, intense, searching, made her heart beat faster. Mary, Emmanuel said, smiling slightly, meet my son. The young man stepped forward. I'm Daniel, he said. Their eyes met, and in that single moment, something unspoken passed between them, something neither of them could explain. But before Mary could respond, Emmanuel's phone rang. His smile faded as he answered. Yes, he said sharply. His face changed. What do you mean, complications? Mary's stomach tightened. Something was wrong again, and whatever it was about Zara. Emmanuel's hand tightened around the phone. The room seemed to shrink as his face lost all color. What kind of complications? He asked, his voice low but sharp. Mary and Daniel stood still, watching him. The silence between them felt dangerous. Yes, I understand, Emmanuel said after a pause. Do everything you can. I'm on my way. He ended the call slowly. Daniel stepped forward at once. Dad, what happened? Emmanuel did not answer immediately. He walked to the window, staring down at the city below, like he was searching for answers written on the streets. The doctors say Zara is breathing, he said at last, but she hasn't woken up. Mary's chest tightened. She's still unconscious? Emmanuel nodded. They don't understand why. Her heart is stable. Her lungs are fine. But she's not responding. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. So what are they saying? They're saying, Emmanuel hesitated, that something else is wrong. Mary felt a cold chill move through her body. She remembered Zara's eyes when she collapsed, the way her fingers curled, the strange stillness that followed. This doesn't make sense, Daniel said. She was healthy. She had no condition. Emmanuel turned back to Mary. Mary, he said gently, when you helped my daughter, did you notice anything strange? Mary swallowed. I noticed she couldn't breathe, she said carefully, and that she was choking. But before that, she paused, searching her memory. Before she fell, she held her chest, like she was in pain, not panic, pain. The room went quiet. Daniel frowned. Could it have been food? That's what the doctors thought, Emmanuel replied, but they've ruled that out. Mary's fingers curled into her palms. Sir, she said slowly, sometimes when someone collapses like that, it's not only the body, sometimes it's something deeper. Daniel looked at her. What do you mean? Mary hesitated. This was the part people laughed at, the part people called foolish. My grandmother used to say, she began softly, that some sickness doesn't come from inside the body, it comes from outside. Daniel raised an eyebrow. You mean stress? Mary shook her head. No. Emmanuel watched her closely. Say what you mean. Mary took a deep breath. Sometimes, she said, choosing her words carefully, people are harmed without being touched. The air in the room changed. Daniel let out a short laugh. When are you saying someone? Emmanuel lifted a hand. Daniel, he said quietly, listen. Mary's voice trembled, but she did not stop. I'm not saying I'm sure. I'm just saying what happened last night didn't feel normal. Emmanuel's jaw tightened. Zara told me something last week, he said suddenly. She said she felt watched. She laughed it off. I didn't take it seriously. Daniel stiffened. Dad. I should have, Emmanuel continued. I've made enemies, powerful ones. Mary's heart began to race. Sir, she said, if Zara is still not waking up, it means whatever happened hasn't finished. The words hung heavy in the air. Daniel stepped closer to Mary, his voice low. Are you saying my sister is still in danger? Mary met his eyes. Yes. Without another word, Emmanuel grabbed his jacket. We're going to the hospital. Are you both of you? The hospital room was quiet except for the soft sound of machines. Zara lay on the bed, pale and still, her chest rising slowly. Tubes ran from her arms. Her hair was neatly brushed, but her face looked far away, like she was trapped somewhere she could not escape. Mary stood at the foot of the bed, her heart aching. She looks peaceful, Daniel whispered. She's not, Mary replied softly. Emmanuel turned to her sharply. What do you mean? Mary stepped closer. She did not touch Zara. She only watched. She's fighting, Mary said. I can see it. Daniel frowned. You can see what doctors can't. Mary did not answer him. She closed her eyes instead. She remembered her grandmother again, the quiet nights, the warnings, the lessons no one wrote in books. She opened her eyes. Sir, she said to Emmanuel, did Zara wear anything new last night? Emmanuel thought for a moment. She wore a necklace, a gift. Daniel's eyes widened slightly. From who? Emmanuel hesitated. From someone who claimed to be a family friend. Mary's gaze moved to Zara's neck. The necklace lay there, small and shining against her skin. Mary's breath caught. That, she said softly, should not be there. Daniel's voice rose. What are you talking about? Mary stepped back, fear flooding her face. Sir, if I'm right, removing it the wrong way could make things worse. Emmanuel stared at the necklace, then at Mary. You saved my daughter once, he said quietly. Are you saying you can do it again? Mary's hands shook. I don't know, she whispered, but I know this. If we do nothing, Zara may never wake up. At that moment, Zara's heart monitor beeped sharply. The sound grew faster. The nurse rushed in. Her heart rate is dropping. Doctors followed quickly. Orders flew across the room. Machines beeped louder. Mary backed away, panic rising. Daniel grabbed her arm. Mary, he said urgently, tell us what to do. Mary looked at Zara, then at the necklace, then at Emmanuel. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. Sir, she said, I need you to trust me completely. Emmanuel nodded once. Do whatever you must. Mary reached for the necklace, and just as her fingers touched it, Zara's body stiffened. The machines screamed, and the lights in the room flickered. The doctors shouted. Mary froze in fear, because she realized too late that whatever was hurting Zara was now fighting back, and it was not happy that it had been discovered. The machine screamed louder. Zara's body arched suddenly, as if an invisible force had pulled her spine tight. Her fingers curled into fists. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Her heart rate is crashing, a doctor shouted. Nurses rushed around the bed. Someone reached for the emergency button. Another grabbed a syringe. Step back, the doctor yelled at Mary. Now! Mary stumbled backward, her heart slamming painfully in her chest. Her fingers still tingled from the necklace she had barely touched. Cold fear crawled up her arms. It knows, she thought. Whatever this is, it knows. Emmanuel stood frozen at the side of the bed, his face drained of color. Do something, he shouted. Save my daughter. Daniel grabbed his father's arm. Dad, breathe, please. But Emmanuel could not breathe. His entire world lay on that bed. Slipping away again. Clear, a doctor shouted. Mary flinched as the machine shocked Zara's body. Once, twice. Zara gasped sharply, her chest rising, but then it fell again, weak and uneven. This isn't working, the doctor said under his breath. She's not responding like she should. Mary's knees felt weak. This was her fault. If she had not touched the necklace, if she had not spoken. But then she saw it. Zara's eyes moved. Just slightly. Mary leaned forward. She's still here, she whispered. No one heard her. Doctors continued working, their voices sharp and fast. Nurses adjusted machines. The room smelled like medicine and fear. Mary closed her eyes. Grandma, help me remember. She saw her grandmother's face clearly now, wrinkled hands, calm eyes. When something doesn't belong, her grandmother had once said, Shaz, you don't fight it with force, you weaken it first. Mary opened her eyes. Sir, she said suddenly, her voice shaking but loud enough this time. Emmanuel, sir, the doctor snapped. She cannot be in here. Wait, Emmanuel said. All eyes turned to Mary. Her heart pounded. That necklace, she said, it was placed to harm her. But it draws strength from fear and noise. Daniel stared at her. What are you saying? We need quiet, Mary said, and we need to remove it. But not like this, the lead doctor scoffed. This is nonsense. We are dealing with a medical emergency. And you are losing her, Mary said softly. The words hit the room like a slap. Emmanuel looked at the monitor. Zara's heartbeat was weak, fading again. He turned to the doctor. Give us 1 minute. The doctor hesitated. Sir, and if she dies? She will die if we don't try, Emmanuel replied. Silence fell. The doctor stepped back reluctantly. 1 minute. Mary moved closer to the bed, her legs trembling. Daniel stood beside her, his jaw tight. What do you need? He asked quietly. Trust, Mary replied. She leaned over Zara and spoke softly, close to her ear. Zara, Mary whispered, if you can hear me, you are not alone. Zara's fingers twitched. Mary swallowed hard. Fear is not yours, she continued. Breathe with me. She began to breathe slowly. In, out. The room followed without realizing it. Even Emmanuel found his chest rising and falling with Mary's rhythm. Mary reached for the necklace again, but this time she did not pull. She rested her fingers lightly against Zara's skin, just below the chain. And whatever you don't understand, Mary whispered, let it go. The lights flickered again. The heart monitor skipped. Daniel grabbed Mary's arm. Mary, not yet, she whispered. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small white cloth. It was nothing special, just a clean napkin from the restaurant, folded neatly. She slipped it under the necklace, separating the chain from Zara's skin. Zara gasped. The monitor steadied, just a little. Hope sparked in Emmanuel's chest. Mary slowly lifted the necklace, inch by inch, never breaking her calm breathing. The moment the chain left Zara's neck, the room went icy cold. A sharp wind rushed through the hospital room, though the windows were closed. Nurses gasped. The lights flickered violently. Then, silence. The machines beeped steadily. Zara's chest rose and fell. She was breathing. Mary dropped the necklace into the cloth and wrapped it quickly, her hands shaking. The doctor rushed forward, checking Zara's pulse, her pupils. She's stable, he said slowly. Her vitals are improving. Emmanuel sank into a chair, tears streaming freely now. Daniel stared at Mary like he was seeing her for the first time. You did this, he whispered. Mary shook her head weakly. I only removed what didn't belong. Zara shifted on the bed. Daddy, she murmured faintly. Emmanuel jumped to his feet. Zara, my baby. Her eyes fluttered open, slow and confused. Why is it cold? Relief flooded the room. Nurses smiled. Doctors exhaled. But Mary did not smile. She stared at the cloth-wrapped necklace in her hands. Something about it felt wrong. Too easy, her grandmother's voice warned in her head. And the doctor turned to Emmanuel. She's out of danger, for now, but we'll need to run tests. For now, Emmanuel repeated. The doctor nodded. Whatever caused this wasn't physical. I can't explain it, but I won't pretend it didn't happen. Mary's stomach twisted. For now, she echoed quietly. Later that night, Zara slept peacefully in her hospital bed. Emmanuel refused to leave her side. Daniel walked Mary out into the quiet hospital hallway. You saved my sister twice, he said softly. Mary shook her head. Not yet. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? Mary looked down the long, empty corridor. This didn't start tonight, she said, and it won't end tonight either. Daniel felt a chill run through him. Are you saying someone is trying to kill her? Mary met his eyes. Yes. Daniel's hands curled into fists. Who? I don't know, Mary replied, but they are close, very close. As if on cue, a nurse hurried toward them. Sir, she said to Daniel, a woman is here asking about Miss Zara. She says she's family. Daniel stiffened. What woman? The nurse hesitated. She didn't give her name, but she brought a gift. Mary's breath caught. What kind of gift? She asked. The nurse swallowed. Another necklace. Mary's heart dropped, because she knew one thing for certain now. This was no longer just about saving a life. It was about uncovering a dangerous truth. And the next move could cost someone everything. The nurse's words landed like thunder. Another necklace. Mary felt her knees weaken. Daniel turned sharply. Where is she now? In the visitor's lounge, the nurse replied. Security allowed her in because she mentioned the family. Daniel exchanged a quick look with Mary. Stay here, he said. No, Mary replied at once. I'm coming. They walked fast down the hallway. With every step, Mary felt a growing pressure in her chest, like danger whispering her name. When they entered the lounge, the woman was already standing. She was tall, well-dressed, calm. Too calm. Her hair was perfectly styled. Her lips held a soft smile that did not reach her eyes. In her hands was a small gift box. Daniel stopped. Who are you? The woman turned slowly. I'm Zara's aunt, she said smoothly. Emmanuel's cousin. Mary felt it immediately. Cold, the same cold she felt when she touched the first necklace. That's not true, Mary said quietly. The woman's smile froze for a split second, just long enough, and Daniel stepped forward. Mary? That gift, Mary said, pointing to the box. It's not for love, it's for harm. The woman laughed softly. You must be the waitress, she said, the one who suddenly thinks she's special. Mary did not answer. Security moved closer, sensing tension. Daniel's voice hardened. My sister almost died. And now you show up with jewelry? The woman sighed, like a teacher tired of foolish students. Zara has always been in the way, she said calmly. So was her father. The words sucked the air out of the room. Mary's heart pounded. Say that again. The woman's eyes flashed with anger now. That family took everything from mine. Wealth, power, respect. I only wanted balance. Daniel's fists clenched. You tried to kill my sister. The woman lifted her chin. I tried to claim what was owed. Before anyone could move, Mary stepped forward. Enough, she said. The woman turned to her sharply. You think you can stop me again? Mary met her gaze, steady and calm. You already lost. Security grabbed the woman's arms as she struggled, her calm mask finally breaking into rage. You don't understand, she screamed. This isn't over. But it was. The gift box fell from her hands and opened on the floor. Inside was another necklace, dark, twisted wrong. Mary felt the last of the cold fade away. The woman was taken away in handcuffs, her screams echoing down the hallway. Daniel stood still, breathing hard. Mary sank onto a chair, her strength finally leaving her. You were right, Daniel said quietly. About everything. Mary nodded, tears filling her eyes now. I was just listening. Zara woke fully the next morning. She smiled when she saw Mary. You're the one, Zara said softly. I heard your voice. You brought me back. Mary swallowed. I'm glad you're here. Emmanuel entered the room then, his eyes filled with gratitude and something deeper. Respect. Mary, he said, I owe you more than my thanks. He placed a folder on the table. Mary opened it slowly. Inside was an offer, education, a new home, a position in his foundation to help others. Her hands trembled. Sir, this is too much. Emmanuel shook his head. No, it's not enough. Daniel watched her quietly. Days passed. The story spread across the country, not just about a billionaire's daughter, but about a poor waitress whose courage saved a life when money could not. Mary's life changed, but not overnight. She chose to learn, to grow, to help. Daniel stayed close, not as a rich man looking down, but as someone who saw her heart. One evening, as they walked through the hospital garden, he stopped. You didn't just save my sister, he said. You saved all of us. Mary looked away shyly. I just did what I could. Daniel smiled. That's why I love you. She froze. Then slowly she smiled too. What began as fear became gratitude. What began as invisibility became destiny. And the truth remained clear to everyone who heard the story. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.